Hello from hot and humid Brisbane, where the rivalry in this Border Gabba Trophy series that we have seen so far already is set to reignite tomorrow when the third test gets underway at the Gabba. Sam Jordan from 9 News is with you, joined by Dan Brettig from The Age. Dan, we've just been chatting about the state of the pitch. Let's chat about that first. There was talks of a green mamba. Either way, it's going to serve up plenty of excitement.
There's a bit of unpredictability about the surface and also about the weather, and I think the two are interconnected. If there's going to be some rain around during this test match, which is forecast, that's obviously going to keep the surface a little bit fresher, and that's a bit of a dilemma for the curator here in terms of how much grass he leaves on it, how lively is it going to be relative to what the weather's doing. But then again, as we know from Brisbane, it's also about the overhead conditions, how much the ball swings, which if the conditions are anything like this tomorrow, you'd say it probably will swing. And that's a big factor in how this game is going to play out. As we know, a couple of years ago there was a test match here that was over in 2 days.
Yeah, exactly right. It's something that Australia's quicks, or a place Australia's quicks certainly love coming to. One that has been the talking point today, of course, is Josh Hazlewood. He's the only change for Australia. He is back in for Scott Boland. Pat Cummins cast pretty sad figure when he was talking about having to leave Scott Boland out, but that's just the position that Australia's in.
Yeah, one of the interesting things is that Josh Hazlewood has a very good record at the Gabba over a number of years. His record at the MCG is not so good, whereas obviously Scott Boland is the king of the MCG. So I wouldn't be surprised if you saw Josh Hazlewood playing this week and Scott Boland coming back in around Boxing Day. Whether that's for Josh Hazlewood or someone else, it depends. Obviously, injuries and other things can come into it. But the fact that Josh Hazlewood has been able to come back from a side strain after only one test match is a bit of a tribute to the fact that he and Pat Cummins recognised that there was a bit of an issue with him during the Perth test at a time when Australia was well behind in the game, and they were able to manage that, essentially limit the damage and get him back on the park quick smart.
Short-term pain in terms of that Perth test, and it certainly paid dividends here. Australia's bowling attack, they were brilliant in Adelaide, and bouncing back from a performance that they said by their own standards was disappointing in Perth. How influential are they going to be here today, here this weekend in terms of deciding the test?
Oh, very much. The Australian quick bowlers, I could foresee this being another test match where Nathan Lyon doesn't get a whole lot of work if the game goes quickly, and I don't think there was ever any danger of Nathan Lyon not playing. But yeah, certainly Cummins, Hazlewood, Stark will be a big factor here. And as we also heard from Pat Cummins, there might also be some short stuff again. It was interesting to me that it's the first time I've really seen Rishabh Pant look a bit uncomfortable against Australia, that Cummins pinned him with a pretty good bouncer in the first innings, and then the fact that he was out sort of edging into the cordon in the second innings, not really getting forward to Mitchell Stark, that's something new. We haven't seen that from Rishabh against Australia before, and I would say that the first innings dismissal contributed to the second.
Australia's batsmen are certainly in the spotlight like they have been this entire series. Before Adelaide, there was so much talk around Marnus Labuschagne's form. It seems now to have swung to Steve Smith, who has been out of the runs for a little while now. Cummins very clear in saying that he feels the big score is around the corner. How important is this test for Steve Smith?
Yeah, well, if Steve can get in here at the Gabba, it can be a very good place to score. There's a lot of runs to be gotten straight down the ground because the boundaries are quite short there. He's got a very good record here. He's made some very influential centuries. In fact, his last really good test innings was here against Shamar Joseph in that really tight finish to the test match against the West Indies in January. So he's got a lot of good memories, I suppose, to call on coming here, as does Usman Khawaja, someone else in the side who hasn't made a big score so far this series. He was hosting the Usman Khawaja Foundation lunch here yesterday in the Queensland Cricketers Club. It's very much home for him, and he'll be wanting to also get some inroads into this series and back up what Labuschagne, Travis Head did in Adelaide.
A little bit of talk around India's batsmen as well. We didn't get a chance to chat with Rohit Sharma today, the Indian captain, but he has been facing a new ball throughout the week as well. There is speculation amongst India media certainly that he will return to opening the batsman. KL Rahul slots down to 6. What are you expecting to see from India's batsmen here in Brisbane?
Well, they definitely need to do something different to what they produced in Adelaide. Rohit Sharma to me is the biggest issue in the side, not only in terms of where his best fit is as a batter, but is he the best fit to be in the side? Is he the best fit as the captain? We saw Jasprit Bumrah do such a great job in Perth, and for Rohit Sharma to come back as the full-time captain and the team really fall away in Adelaide, that isn't a good sign for him. And so he's really got to figure out where's his best spot to have an impact on this match and this series. Ravi Shastri, for one, thinks it should be at the top of the order because even if he doesn't make a big score, he can go out there with an attacking intent. We've seen him play some amazing innings against Australia at the top of the order, particularly in white ball cricket. And I think that's the best Rohit Sharma for India, someone who's having a go, not someone who's kind of poking and prodding and letting Pat Cummins hit the top of his off stump.
In the same way that there was speculation around Josh Hazlewood's fitness, the same was for Jasprit Bumrah coming into this test as well. He did bowl yesterday at full flight and challenged his own teammates. The Australian batsmen have said throughout the week that they want to take on the best bowlers in the world. Do they mean that? Bumrah is going to be absolutely firing here in Brisbane.
Well, I think one of the unknowns about this test match, of course, is that we're going from the pink ball back to the red ball. India won a red ball test match in Perth. Australia won a pink ball test. There's 3 red ball tests to come. Yep. And I would definitely say that Bumrah, Mohammad Siraj and even the Indian batters, they're more comfortable against the red ball. They see it more often. And in terms of a test of skill for the Australian top order, Bumrah with the red ball in humid conditions with a bit of grass underfoot, it's going to be challenging as it was in Perth.
Last one, Dan. Brisbane is somewhere that has been the pride of Australian cricket for such a long time. 33 years it was from 1998 until India beat them here. 2 of the last 4 tests that Australia has played here at the Gabba, they've lost. 2 of the 4 they've won as well. How important is it for Australia to come here and not only get a win here in Brisbane, but in the context of the series as well, go 2-1 up?
Well, going again back to Ravi Shastri, his view is that this is the moving test match, the swing test match between the 2 teams. The team that wins this test match, in his view, will go on and win the series. So I think that tells you how important this match is. And the Gabba, Australia doesn't have a long unbeaten record here anymore. I think they still set up very well for these conditions. I think the fact that it's a bit earlier in the series is better for them. Josh Hazlewood, Pat Cummins, Mitchell Starc, they do have sort of perceptible downturns in their records when you get to test matches 4 and 5. And I think often that is because Australia's already won a series by the time they get to that point. So I think, in terms of where they're at, the fact that the Adelaide test was over quickly, they're quite fresh and ready to have a big impact here. And if they do that, it could well tell the tale for the series.
Well, not long to wait to find out. There is just one sleep until the 3rd test of this Border Gabba Trophy. We will be back at the close of play on day 1 to bring you all of the action.